I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting what is going to be, because I'm trying to be more forceful with the way I state things and not give myself wiggle room. So, no trying or hoping, but I am going to be doing a kind of doing vlogging of my writing process. So, yeah, I asked you guys in a poll in my community tab if you would be interested in such a thing, and many, actually, I don't think, at least at time of this recording when I looked at it, I don't think anybody said no. So, yeah, overwhelming response. Everybody wants to see this, so, or at least a lot of you guys want to see this, so I'm going to start doing this. I'm doing this for multiple reasons. I want to share more about my writing with you guys. I just haven't really known how to. Also, I kind of want to encourage other people because I'm not a conventional writer, if you look at my book reading habits, I'm not a conventional reader. Like, I don't read the most popular thing in any sort of way, shape, or form most of the time. So it kind of makes sense that I would write similarly, if I could spit the word out. So anyways, I don't have a great writing setup space. I don't have like a desk setup or anything like that. I write here on my floor because I don't have room for a desk, or anything like that. So I want to encourage other people as well. Also, I just kind of want to chronicle this book because this book I've been trying to write for going on 5 years. Yeah, I just need to write this thing. It's gone through multiple iterations. So for the first part of this vlog, I'm basically going to like story time. Many of you know I am writing a young adult Christian epic fantasy series called, the series name is Creetalee Chronicles. And as many of you know, also I have fully completely written the first 2 books. This was going to be a trilogy. It has now morphed into 4 books, and I mentioned in I think it was a tag video, that I did, I forget when, I think it was the beginning of this year sometime. I mentioned in a tag video that I was going to explain why this book has now morphed into 4 books rather than 3. I, of course, never got to that explanation video because of my life at the time. I also didn't know after I said that if it was going to go back to being a trilogy or going to be a 4-book series, so I didn't want to say particulars. And then, of course, my grandma had her fall and stuff, so then there was all that drama. But now it is June. Now I am ready to conquer this book once and for all, or at least half of it. So, but I do know for sure now it is going to be 4 books. I don't know what those 4 books or the last 2 books anyways, are going to entail. This process is, a lot of this story has kind of gone off the rails of what it, not like in a bad way, but it's gone off the rails in what I originally thought it would be. So, my story with Creetalee Chronicles is, I have been writing this series ever since I started writing when let's see, how long ago was that? I think it was 2014 or 2015 I started writing seriously. I had never thought of it before. I didn't really know how. So that was with fan fiction mostly. I wrote a couple fan fictions, and then I immediately jumped into Creetalee Chronicles, and I haven't really done anything else since. I have written 1 draft of a different story, and I've written some short stories, but pretty much Creetalee Chronicles has been my entire life from about, I think it was 2015 is when I started the first draft of that book, of the first book. So I've been writing this book for this series anyways, for a very, very long time. It's literally my entire personality now. Yeah, the first book was the easiest one to write. Initially, when I wrote it, I thought it would be a standalone. It then turned into a trilogy, because I realized there was more story to it. I wanted to keep exploring these characters. Yeah, so the first book went through a ton of revisions. That one is the only book that I have that I consider, like, locked in solid. It is, like, complete, done. I've edited it to the 9th degree and probably more. This book is as perfect as I can get it without professional help looking at it and seeing if I need something else. So, book 1 I have considered completely done. Book 2 then took me about, because I started it shortly after I finished book 1, but I never completed it. I don't know if I've told you guys this whole story before. Anyways, if you haven't, or if you're new here, hi, I'm going to be telling this whole story again because I find it very interesting, this chronicle of this series, because I'm still writing it. And anyways, the second book of this series, I had a rocky start. I also ended up changing the first draft of that one. Let me back up a bit. Okay, the first draft of that one I started writing after I finished book 1. However, I then changed a lot of the ending and the plot line. Not really the plot line, so to speak, more the ending and how certain things went in the first book. When I realized it was going to be more of a series, I changed it. So that kind of changed the beginning of the second book. And I never finished that first initial draft. Then I started a second draft of that second book. I didn't finish that one either because it still wasn't going in the correct direction. I totally revamped the whole thing. Then I wrote a third draft. Yes, I think I wrote a third draft of it. I finished that one. I just pushed my way through it. A lot of that did end up in the final fourth draft, which is the current book it is. A lot of that from the third one ended up in that fourth one, but I also did change a bunch of stuff from my original ideas. So yeah, the second book still needs some polishing. I am going to slightly alter the ending of that second book to fit into what is now book 3. Book 3 has been the bane of my existence ever since I started trying to write it. It has never had a full draft. It has never even had a half draft. It's had one draft, I think, that I would call half. But I started it one way. That didn't work out. I kept starting it, and then it kept not working. It kept falling apart. I would change direction. I would change what I was doing. I would try to just not write it at all, like take a break. Maybe I was burned out. I would take a break. I would come back to it. It still wouldn't work. Or it would work in some places, but it wouldn't work in others. So I just kept beating my head against the wall. A lot of my family was like saying, well, maybe you should just end it at book 2. Maybe there isn't a book 3. But I just know deep in like myself that there is more story to this. So I kept pushing. I kept trying to write this. I even made a video on this channel of me thinking about giving up writing because I was so down in the dumps about it, because this book was like the bane of my life. So, but then I think it was about last year, I realized this book had way too much in it that I was trying to cram into one book. It needed to be 2. So around, I think it was about November, December of last year, I realized this is actually 2 books. Then I got concerned I would not have enough material for 2 books. So then I started spiraling down that path, because of course I started spiraling, because that is just what I do. As you can tell, this freaking book has been messing with me this whole time. So, the book 3, which was originally going to be the end, is now another stepping stone to the end. Yeah. So then, earlier, I think about a month or 2 ago, I'm still having issues with this book. I literally just quit trying to write it and just sat down and was just I literally started plotting a different book, because I was like, maybe I just need a long-term break from this thing. Maybe it's just not the right time to write this thing. So I did a whole bunch of world building and character detail for a completely different book that had nothing to do with this world and this series. And I liked doing that. I think it was a nice break that I did a lot of world building, figured out how I like to world build, things like that. However, the second I was done with that, I was thinking, oh, I'll start plotting this book. But then, lo and behold, I kept thinking about Creaturely Chronicles book 3. And then I was like, maybe I'm just torturing myself. Maybe I'm just stupid. And then I got this epiphany that one of the big reasons I've been avoiding this book, like I knew this all along, like suspected it, but I kept avoiding it. This book is going to be more political. Political fantasy rather than adventure fantasy, which is previously what I've been writing. Not that it won't continue to be adventure fantasy, but it would have more of the political angle, because several of my characters, let's just say, are in the royalty department. Yeah, so I can very much see now why a lot of authors in like fairy tale retellings or even fantasy stories, once the characters become like king or queen, they quit the series. I can literally see why. Because then, if you're not good at political stuff, you run into this problem. I mean, yes, it is fantasy. I will be making up the majority of it, but I also I do firmly believe that in order to make a good fantasy story, you have to ground some of it in reality to a certain degree. Not that I would ground it in modern politics. Trust me, no. That would have, but like, more medieval type politics, because it is a medieval fantasy. So, and, that's all I guess anyways. But, however, so I've realized that. And with that, I was a little worried that that would be the whole book. I think that's why I avoided it before. However, I have decided that I will be doing that, but also mixing in the adventure, the action, stuff I'm good at, the romantic angle, all that type of thing, in between and throughout. Then I did, because in my world, the main nation, Kreetali, is split in half. Not literally, but figuratively, due to a war that happened like 130 some years ago, there was a divide. West Kreetali is ruled by one faction of group, East Kreetali is ruled by another. So my characters are on the east side, as I call it, right now, and they have to kind of unite that east side in order to try to unite the west side with them, then unite the whole nation to defeat the bad guy. That is the main overarching plot of the end that needs to happen. So, I went through, this is just a very vague thing that I'm going to show at a distance. So each of my east side and west side have provinces. So there's like one ruling member in like the capital province, and then there's all these different other provinces that have like lords and dukes and duchesses and stuff and ladies. And they rule their provinces, but they also answer ultimately to the king, queen, whoever's in charge at the time at the capital. So that's kind of how I set up my ruling system, because it used to be there would be one king or queen over the whole nation. All the provinces would, have their own ruling places, but like the king and queen is like the ultimate top person, so that they would all answer to for major things. So I went through each province on the east side, since that is the side I'm focusing on, and I did this like whole questionnaire thing of like, what do they do, like what is their view on fighting, what are their resources, the general pros and cons, would they fight, what is their view of the east side, the west side, the royal family. I went through all that because I decided like what is their belief in Tirana, who is God in my world, that's his name. And then like, how do they view spiritual gifts from Tirana, how do they view the dark magic, like all these different things. So I went through all the east side provinces, and I did that one at a time, thought them all out, because my theory was, when I do that, I will be able to then craft plot points around that, being like, oh, this province is very traditional, okay? So they're going to be so steeped in tradition that they may not listen to sense if it's outside their tradition. They might have to think a little outside the box, and they're not going to do that. Or they're going to be so traditionalist that they're like, we host balls for whatever, this certain thing, and it's like, there's an army and you're coming, that there's an enemy invasion coming. Like, you shouldn't be holding a ball right now, but they're going to do it anyways, because they're so traditionalist and they're so stuck in their ways. So, that's just for an example. Like, one of my other provinces on the east side is very warrior-like. So they would be extremely hard to convince to do anything like peace talks or anything like that, because all they want to do is fight. And they're also extremely stubborn, so if they don't like you for some reason, and you're the ruling person, they may not still go with it, and they might just want to fight you, because that's all they do. So, I have all that. I finished that a few days ago. I did all that to figure out, this is literally the section of provinces in this notebook. It's quite a bit. Because there's how many? Kind of forget how many there are on each side. There's 8 provinces on the east side. So I did all those. And then I determined, because I don't know how this book is going to end. Most of the time, I know the ending of a book. This one is eluding me, so this is a little strange. Like, I know more at the beginning than the end, which is very strange. For the previous 2 books, I knew their endings before I knew their beginnings. That just seems to be how the majority of the time I roll with coming up with stories. This one is proving to be very, very different. I know the beginning before I know the ending. In fact, I don't even know the ending. I know only about, I think, the first half of this book. So, the first half of this book is now being plotted. So, I plot best in a notebook, which is hard because I tend to get hand cramps a lot. And my hand tends to hurt, which then makes my wrist hurt. And it's a whole thing I have to be very careful with. So, that is what I'm going to be doing partially today. I'm going to be plotting more of this plot line. I don't want to show you guys it, but it's currently about 2 pages. That is my goal for today, to just start doing that and see how far I get. I also have some other things to do today. I need to edit a video to put out Wednesday. Hopefully I can get that done in the next couple of days. I also need to write a couple of reviews. Other than that, there's just some other piddly stuff, but I can either do that or not, so yeah. But those are the major 3 things that I need to do today. Edit the video, write those 2 reviews, or just one of them, whichever ends up being first, and plot this book, because this book is the most important. So yeah, so I'm going to be taking you guys along on the process, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Oh no. I'm too lazy to get the box out and stick you on, so you guys are gonna have to settle with sitting on the floor with me. So, yeah, it's been a few days since I updated. The first time I got like 7 pages of plot done that you saw in the previous clip that I was writing, so this is all plot. Unfortunately though, I'm kind of at a point where I'm not quite sure where they go next, so, yeah, I'm not fully certain. It could go... It can kind of go 1 or 2 ways. I don't really know what I need to do first. Like, do they need to go somewhere else first? Or would it make more sense, since they just fled somewhere else, to sit and chill for a bit? Not really chill, so to speak, because they kind of need to do a little training with their magic and stuff like that. Because I feel like I should at least have at least 1 scene in one of these books of them training with magic, because their powers kind of come out of nowhere, and they kind of need to, like, control them a little better. So, I don't know if I should do that first, or if that's going to slow the momentum, and I need to do that afterwards. I don't really know what to do next. I'm kind of thinking, maybe it would be, I'm kind of just thinking out loud. I sometimes do better verbally thinking this out. So, if I did do the training session first, bring you guys a little closer. So if I did do the training session first, I could have them send somebody to check out what's going on in the other situation. Therefore, they don't, like, drag the whole army into a trap or something like that. That would probably make the most sense. And then it doesn't have to be a long training session. Just, like, give them the idea of, like, what their powers can do. Because I've shown it through the beginning of this book and most of the second book, like, what their powers can do. I've shown it, but I've never really explained further beyond that, mainly because the characters around them, didn't know how it worked. So, it's not like I have, like, long drawn explanations. Like, for the one character, it was just kind of like, it's because of this vague thing that I'm not really going to disclose here. It's because of this one thing that they can do these powers, but there's no specifics on how to do them, if that makes sense. So, So, yeah. Okay, I'm thinking the training session should come first. They'll send somebody to go check out this other place and make sure, okay, are we safe? Are they having problems? Like, we'll send a message or something like that because of what happened to the previous place they were at that they kind of just ran away from. Because otherwise it was that or die. So, yeah, okay, so then do a brief training session. At least explain to the reader and plus to the characters, like, more detail of what their powers can do. Maybe add some questions around this one character of, like, how does he know about these powers? Like, so on and so forth. So I don't need to show excessive training, just more like give them an idea of what their powers can do. Maybe show them a little bit of, show the reader, I'm talking about the reader here, show them a little bit kind of how that's done, and then you can move on from there. Maybe just throughout the rest of the book show like little snippets of, or mention that they are training, but I don't need to show it all the time. Like, I don't need a training montage. I just need to show enough basics that they know how to train, or at least they know how their powers work, but it's not excessive training, where it just slows down the story, because they are kind of preparing for a full-scale attack at any moment if the bad guy ever decides to. So yeah, I think I'll do that first. I think I'll do the training session thing first. It seems the most logical, but then I kind of have to figure out what to do after that. Like, do they actually end up going to that province? Though maybe if I write all that out, maybe the answer will come to me. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, this is the first time in a while I've been able to actually work on it without feeling dead from from tons of cleaning and chores, and yeah. Then I kind of have to figure out what do they do from there. Also, that could very well be the first half of the book. I was only going to plot the first half of the book, because some of these things I may need to play by ear of, like, what do I mean by play by ear? I need to write it in order to determine where things fall into place, if that makes sense. A lot of the things are just like suggestions in this plot that I have. They're just suggestions of things that I need to add or need to put in, but it's not set in stone. This is the exact place it needs to be. Sometimes as I'm writing, either new plot threads will come up, or the section for some segment I wrote in the plot line will pop up earlier or later in the story than I had planned. This is kind of just like a basic roadmap that I'm doing. At least that's how I try to do it. That's how I've always done kind of outlines. I just write it as giant blocks of text and then just kind of go from there. I'm very much a discovery writer, so I kind of just discover it as I go. But I think I do need a little structure, because it is helpful, I have noticed, if I at least have an idea of where I'm going. Like, most stories, yes, I think I've always done this. I've just never really thought about it. I think the only one, because even the second book, which is about the only one in this series that I've never had a kind of an outline for. I've just had basic ideas of where they're going, and then, because I don't remember ever writing a full kind of outline for it. The first half of the very first book, I think it was the first half, roughly thereabouts, I did write some kind of a outline, so to speak. I don't think I did for the rest of it. It just came to me, because the first book I was purely just writing for myself and for fun, so like a lot of that book doesn't even exist in the final copy. Yeah, a lot of those scenes that I wrote in the original first book, I cut by the time the final copy is now here, so a lot of it is not even in there. But yeah, with the second one, I just kept having a problem. Maybe that was part of my problem. I never really could figure out the direction. Of course, when the ending of the first book changed, that also changed things. So, but yeah, I'm just rambling now. But yeah, I'm gonna try to put that down here and see where to go from there. So yeah, I'm just going to do that, write that part out, and go from there. I might know where to do next then, or I might have to think more about it. Actually sit down and think about it, not really think about it because I'm doing too much other stuff, which is a problem. But yeah, we're just going, or at least I'm just going to try that. So yeah, I'll write a bit more, see if something comes to me as I'm writing this. Yeah, I'll probably show a brief clip of me writing it, and then I'm probably just gonna turn that off and switch to some epic music or something like that, see if that'll help jog the brain cells a bit. But yeah, I haven't written for quite a bit. I think the last thing I wrote was a review on Thursday. So, story-wise, I haven't done anything since I'm gonna say Sunday or Monday, something like that, of last week. So yeah, I haven't done anything. Yeah, it's a problem when you're terrible at scheduling things. But I'm trying to get better. It's a slow learning process. So, yeah, so I'm gonna write that, and I'll show you guys a brief clip of that, and then otherwise, I will catch you later. Okay. I think I just finished the plot for the whole book. I know I should be really excited about this, but mostly I'm just like, did that really happen? I've been struggling with this book for years. For like going on 4 years now. And just the idea that like, it's done? Like, really? Is it? Am I just fooling myself? 21 notebook pages. Yeah. I'm thrilled, but mostly I'm just shocked right now. Because I don't really know. Like, am I truly done? It's very surreal. It doesn't almost feel real. It doesn't feel like this should be happening. But it is. I'm flabbergasted. I really did not expect to finish it today. I didn't expect to finish it for a long time, but it just kept coming out. So, like, after the morning session when I did the previous clip, I just came back this afternoon and I was just like, I have this idea, and I just wrote it all, and it just seemed to end naturally here. So, I think I have the whole plot. I am honestly shocked. It's amazing, but wow. So yeah, I think I have the whole plot for this thing now. So now I'll probably, I don't know, leave it for a day. We'll see how my life goes otherwise. But then I guess the next thing would be to write it. Start writing, because I don't think there's anything else I would need to plan necessarily. I think there's one thing, because like I have something I probably need to write out and figure out, but I don't need to do that just yet, I don't think. That's like near the end of the book. So yeah, I don't think I need to do that just yet, but we'll see. I'm gonna give it a day, and then I'll see by tomorrow what I'm thinking. But in that case, I think the natural progression would be to end the vlog here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this video series, I'm hoping to do this as a video series. I'm planning to do it as that, so yeah, because I think vlogging is going to help me. Also, I just want to show the process to you guys. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment. Like it, I guess. I don't know if that helps with the algorithm or not. Who knows? I have no idea how the thing works. So, but most definitely add a comment if you guys like what I'm doing here with this vlogging. And yeah, follow me as I continue starting to write this thing. Yeah. Creaturely Chronicles, Book 3. It's actually happening. And I'm going to make sure it keeps happening if I could ever pick up my notebook. But yeah, it's happening. We're going to see how it goes. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!